We're going live.
We're going live. Hit me with your best shot. Don't you hit me with your best shot. Where'd it go? Yeah, then just fire away.
That was that's from last week.
Last week, yeah. It's Jack's song.
Versus. Yeah.
So we can actually start with we can start with that if you want. Like so Taylor and Ralph, last week we had a versus, which is like a long standing kind of competition amongst
Team
the
Mustard,
hosts.
right?
Yeah. And so what we picked for last week's versus was a popular or hit song that when it comes on the radio or a streaming service, you will automatically skip it, even though it's a good song.
You may have liked it yourself.
Yeah, you like the song, but you will skip it because either some memory or it's just overplayed or something is you like the song, but you don't like the song anymore.
You're like,
there's a sort of a long-standing rule in my car in which Stevie, my wife, also adheres to, and I've got her sort of, I'm not going to say trained, but if I can't get to the button and U2 starts playing, which is way too much, it gets changed to literally anything.
Really?
Every
you can hit
every U2 song, any song.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, well, this sounds like more like a U2 hatred kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That's not the same. That's not the way. You didn't listen to the rules.
You didn't listen to the rules.
No.
I think I kind of agree with that. I think the only song U2 that I can even tolerate is Sunday Bloody Sunday, and that's rare.
But that's not the rule. The rule is
I love the song One. If that comes on, like, and I'm in a
then my pick is One.
Is that with the rules?
Fair. I think that's
rules.
That's a good song.
Yeah,
But go ahead and give us who won.
Oh, you want to go into okay?
Well, you might as well. We've started it, so
yeah. So I know who won.
I don't want to have to keep explaining the rules to Ralph.
Wait, what about Taylor? We're not going to even address
Taylor,
like the fifth Beatle here.
Oh, the fifth Beatle. Yes.
I was thinking about it, and I don't know. It comes in waves, right? The skipping thing, and it's mostly for me songs that have just been. I've heard them way too many times because of the radio. I'm the dumb guy who just still listens to the radio in the car because I'm too lazy to put on something on purpose. And so instead of skipping, I just changed to the other station. That's, station 1, station 2. But
you have 2 stations also.
But like for songs that you love that you'll still skip, I'll go with Green Day. Anything off Green Day, American Idiot, right? That was a huge hit.
Okay.
And I was a huge Green Day fan back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like something about, unless you're in the exact right mood,
Yeah, no,
that's fair.
I totally got you. Yeah.
What did Jack pick? Did Jack pick like some shit by Glenn Miller or something?
No, he Nick started it, right?
Yeah, I played Jack's pick. Yeah.
Glenn Miller.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Glenn Miller highlight.
King of the road.
Anything that used to be on Lawrence Welk is what I hear it right away, and I go, I gotta change it. Get the bubble machine out of my car. Can't do it.
All right. So with a total of 89 votes.
Yes.
Oh wow. That's...
total as in 89 people voted.
Okay. Did we have any emails that voted?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I'm just
read the
throwing
results.
that out there. Okay. Go ahead.
But in fourth place with 15 votes was "Hit Me with Your Best Shot."
Oh,
by Pat Benatar.
Oh,
that's all right.
Fourth place. Okay.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
In third
he has
place,
that many emails to sign in and vote.
In third place with 21 votes was "The Joker" by Steve Miller Band.
Wow.
I would never skip that. Glenn Miller, I would, but not Steve.
What's funny is I really like Steve Miller Band, and I really don't like the Eagles, and they're basically the same.
Yeah.
I was listening to Steve Miller the other day. I'm like, you know what? They're actually pretty close to the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, that was my pick, was "The Joker," and I actually like the song. It's just that I associate it with like the 12-year-old me, and just now when I listen to it, I hear the wah, wah, and all the just everything that's just cheesy about the song. I'm like, I can't listen to it anymore. Yeah, just Just don't.
Okay, Maurice, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So in second place with 23 votes was Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner. What? So the winner was Matt with
Jay's pick.
With 30 votes. With 30 votes for the winner. Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, you guys are just not patriots out there. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
Woo! Born in the USA.
Really?
Wins
Have you
it.
guys done?
I didn't.
Well, the
You
beauty
guys
of Born in the
talk about-
USA, the beauty of
What?
that song is if you hear the first like 5 lyrics, right, you've heard the whole song. You can just
Right.
skip it because it's just going to keep
Yeah.
being Born in the USA for like a while. So it's not like you're
It's
skipping it
Bruce
because-
Springsteen taking a dump.
Yeah, but you're not skipping it because you don't like it. You're skipping because you've already heard the whole song.
You've heard the
Yeah,
riff.
that's true. That's true.
I actually thought
Well-
about playing that song, but it's 2 chords and it's one of the most boring songs to play in the world.
Congratulations, Matt, on your J.
I kind of feel the same way about like the police.
Mm.
A lot of their songs just
JPEG.
Do.
Oh,
Message in the bottle.
it's just over and over again.
I never got. I'll be honest with you. I grew up with in an era where the police were on top. I never got it. I never understood it.
Okay.
I mean,
I-
I don't hate
Jack
them,
from Jack. No,
Yeah.
no.
but it's just
There's-
like,
It's in there. I like the police. The band, the police.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I mean,
it's
Back
amazing
to
you have to
Blue.
say that. I like the police. No, the band.
I will never fly a blue line flag at my house, but I do like the band, the police. No, every breath you take is one of those like 80s songs that when you're a kid and you're listening to it, you're like, what the fuck? It's up there with Billie Jean. You're like, as you listen to the lyrics, you're like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah.
Who is stalking someone? Even before you understood what stalking was, you're like,
I never
You guys
said I
know
didn't
me.
like the Eagles. That was.
Is that about me?
oh, the Eagles Hotel California was one I was thinking about too. Like, for
Yeah, I
the-
mean,
sounds like
that
a
would have
joke.
been that would have been the
actually like the Eagles, but it's just it's not my favorite.
I'm fine with the police. They're just repetitive.
Yeah.
I just
My sister saw the,
It's 'cause they had
the
3
police
members.
on because they did like a reunion tour like a decade ago. My sister went and saw them, said it was one of the worst concerts she ever saw because you forget that other people wrote songs other than Sting, and you're like, and so it'd be like going to a concert singing a bunch of Ringo songs. You're like, oh fuck, I gotta sit here through this shit, like
I
and
watch
that's
a
what,
bunch of Ringo songs.
I would too. I mean, not to knock.
I
Ringo,
like
but,
Ringo Starr.
he's actually coming to Denver, but his tickets are so expensive. I'm like,
Isn't he
I
like
saw-
80? Isn't he 80 now, or is he
he's born in 40, so he's
83.
83.
Carry the
Yeah.
2.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. I was told there'd be no math, so.
So anyway, before we go on, Taylor and Ralph are here. Do you guys want to talk about something you're working on?
Nope.
Before we start rambling and getting at it,
We can't just throw them under the bus. I mean, you got to give them
Usually-
a little bit of intro.
Why-
Like,
why-
hey,
yeah.
everyone out there, we've got 2 great guest hosts
I mean,
tonight.
there are people that are
Thing.
joining us
Yeah.
like on like a podcast too, audibly too,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
release this as a podcast, so they might
Look,
not know.
yeah,
that
but
they're
I'm
actually-
sure
I
there's
don't-
detailed notes in the audio feed.
Nobody reads the
with this
fucking
episode.
notes.
No, nobody listens.
We'll make sure that we title this one something with Lost, right? So that
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we're doing, guys. We're doing something with Lost.
Something with love.
If you go
There
to
we go.
somethingwithlost.com, you can read all about it.
Right.
I think we
Taylor
Taylor.
and I are producing a documentary about the TV show Lost, and we're looking to hoping to release it for the 20th anniversary of the show, and
Which is
we
next
currently
year,
have
right?
next year, 2024, and we
God,
currently have an
wow.
Indiegogo campaign that we launched yesterday, and it
We're-
got funded today.
Where's
Wow.
what link can?
Damn.
What's the title? Of the
You
link?
can go to gettinglostdoc.com, and that'll take you to the Indiegogo page. We're probably 115%.
115. Yeah.
funded.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
great.
You got it right.
That's-
Great.
Really fast. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was the promo you guys did that has me in it.
It's definitely the promo
Yeah.
with the 1 second of Jack from 2009. It's an old.
I do want to complain though. You have me. You have me wearing a Charger hat, and I no longer support that team.
Can we get some AI to
if we raise another 50 grand, we can pay to have that changed with CGI.
Okay, all right. So what's that link again?
We'll make it a Cowboys hat.
Sadly, the 1 second of Jack, he's saying a joke we've all heard before. So
how do you know I'm even saying? How do you know I'm even saying a joke? Saying a joke.
That's true. 1 second's pretty short for you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, usually that's about most I can do. But
so tell us all about this. Like, what was the what made you want to do this? Like, what was the hey, I want to do a documentary on Lost, and what was the brainchild of this?
That's all you, Taylor.
Yeah, well, I mean, I loved the show when it was on, but I mean, more than it being this giant show that changed television and had one of the first online fan communities and all that, and the introduction to podcasts for many, many people, it was about this fan community and all these people that I've met over the years and that I know are still connected because of this show. And so not a lot of TV shows have anything like that. I've wanted to do a documentary about Lost for a long time, but until the 20th anniversary was coming up, it felt too soon. It felt like you need a little bit of that nostalgia to make it. Nobody wants to watch a documentary right now about Game of Thrones. You got to wait a while. So, so when I saw in my brain calendar that 2024 was coming up 2 years ago, I called Ralph and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a Lost documentary. You want to help produce it?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No." And then here we are.
I was real. I didn't want to mess anything up. I'm like, because it's not anything I've done. But Taylor told me, he's like, "Hey, this isn't my first rodeo. You're not going to mess it up. If anything, you can only make it better." And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do it.
I still think Taylor was taking a chance, but that's just me.
I mean,
Hey,
I felt like he was.
You know,
I felt like he was. It was when he called, I had no idea why he was calling me. He's like, "Hey, do you have he sent me a text like, hey, you got a second?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Who dis? That was your response.
Your phone, what Lost?
But yeah, it was. I remember I was sitting in my car eating lunch.
What were you having?
And
That's a good origin story.
Probably Taco Bell.
Okay.
Probably Taco Bell. But it's just I'm like in like an abandoned parking lot, sitting there, peace and quiet, enjoying my lunch under a tree. And then I get this call that like completely changed everything. Now I don't eat my lunches in a car anymore. No, I was
you got a corner office.
No, he had to sell the car to make the documentary.
Okay.
No way. I'll never sell my car.
So that's how it works.
I mean,
Taylor spent so much time in this car. It's a great car. It's a Scion XB 2011 our release series. They only made 2,000 of them. I have number 1667.
It's the bluest car I've ever seen.
It's the bluest car you've ever seen. It's voodoo blue. It's the same color as the FJ Cruiser, the Toyota FJ Cruiser, and they've been adopting it for their pickup trucks now. And it's a proprietary Toyota blue, and they made it for just those 2,000 cars. So nice. Yeah. Wait, what are you doing in the chat, Matt?
What do you mean?
Oh, he does that. Yeah.
I just say the things that I feel like I can't say out loud.
I'm a big guy, and the Scion XB is really roomy on the inside, but I don't want a big car. I think it's I know you have a lot of limited edition stuff. I just was like,
why did they only make 2,000 of them?
It was just they would do this these limited releases.
I mean, 2,000 is still a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, they it's the only Scion XB that comes with a sunroof. There's like a specific body kit and stuff. They'll just do like 2000 special ones. So if you ever see a Scion XB that's gold, that's one of those releases.
Do you ever drive with the sunroof open?
Yeah, I did it a couple weeks ago. Me and Stevie went out to go shoot some photos, and
I have
for the Lost documentary.
I think I've opened it twice. 5-6 years.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. There's just usually when we drive by the beach, driving up like the PCH and stuff, roll down the windows, smell the sewage plant. You know,
that's nice.
One of the questions I had, so Ralph posts quite a bit of photos about the documentary, and usually like when you guys get a special guest star that someone agreed to be part of the documentary, and it's been quite a few, and I was just curious like how you guys lined up such a great amount of workers and casts to be on the documentary. And of course, did you have anybody that was like really difficult to get on, or someone who's just flat like, no, I don't want to be a part of it, or
They had to beg me.
They had to beg you.
We had to pay Jack.
That makes sense.
Upwards of $8 to do it.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for that $8 check though.
Some meat and sausages. Yeah.
Your Jack in the Box tacos are in the mail.
That's payment.
It's persistence. We've had people who just said, "I'm not going to do it." And that's sometimes easier than a non-response because I don't want to bug anybody. And persistence, it gets to the point where I feel like I'm bugging the person.
Which I have no problem with. It's funny. I don't know why you're in charge of bugging people because I don't care. Well, if I'm trying to get a hold of some celebrity and I annoy them, it's not like we're going to hang out after and they're going to be like, I was so annoying when you bugged me. This is our only interaction of our entire lives.
Yeah.
So,
but there was one person who we got a interview. We had scheduled them an interview. They canceled the last minute and they were like, sorry, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Then later just said, hey, if you're ever open, it was Jay. If you're ever open, we're available if you ever want to, if you want to join us. And they were like, nah. We ended up getting a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago with them and they agreed to come on. And so that I felt bad, like I was pushing too hard, but this is someone we really wanted. And it's one of those things. It's a team effort. I have access to certain people. Taylor has access to certain people. We both have our points of contact. We were kind of divvying them up the other day when we were about to do the launch for the Indiegogo, and being like, okay, who has been in contact with me? Who's been in contact with Taylor? Let's reach out to them individually, and then we'll let them know that the campaign is launching and hopefully they can help us out. But it's been pretty close to 50-50, I think. There's also the thing where like we got we ended up getting Patrick Fischler, who plays Phil, through Eric Lang, who plays Rosinski.
Right. And we got MC Gainey, who plays Mr. Friendly, through Fred Lane, who played the air marshal. That's the pro tip for all you documentary filmmakers out there. At the end of the interview, when you're packing up all the equipment, that's when you go, hey, you still in touch with anybody else from the show that you think might want to chat with us? Because we had so much fun.
That's a good tip.
I've been doing this as my 5th feature documentary, and that's the pro tip that gets the most. You can send all the emails you want into the world, but when somebody's friend texts them and says, I just did this fun interview, you want to do one? And we booked those. We booked Patrick like 2 days out. We're like, hey,
it wasn't even that. It was the next
day. The next day, he's like, sure, I love Lost. I'll come talk about Lost. And you're like, well, it would have taken months of emails back and forth with an agent or a manager to get that to happen, or one text. So
it was one text message to Patrick.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like it seems like anytime anyone's up for telling somebody else, they're usually like game like right away, like with Patrick, because yeah, we got him the next day and we didn't even plan on shooting that day. I think that was the day you were leaving, and we ended up shooting him and Sterling Beaumont the same day. It was like an extra day where we weren't planning on shooting. I think we're doing meetings, and then Fred Lane also was like that day and was like a last minute thing.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta go to the airport in an hour. If you can come to my hotel now. Something like that.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. And then there's people like Malcolm David Kelly, who played Walt. He said yes pretty much right away, and then was impossible to get in touch with for like 5 months. Would not respond to anything. We had other people. I had to have like 3 different people reach out that weren't me, because I think, I don't know, my emails were going to spam or the DMs weren't getting through. So it's not always, when we reach out to people and we don't hear anything, I always assume, they would love to do an interview if they would just find out about it. Because there's so many barriers to that, gatekeepers, and also just some of these people get, I don't know, 12,000 emails a day. They got a lot going on.
Nice that you keep that positivity going through it, because that would beat you up.
Frustrations.
Until someone says just no. If they say no, I don't want to do that, then I'm like, great, leave it alone. Check them off the list. We're not going to bother them anymore.
But like you said, you ever get to the point where like you go, okay, it's just not worth it. I go, instead of keep bugging them, they're just like stalling, or they're doing.
If they're stalling, if they're rescheduling or something. But if we just don't hear back, it's try a different method of communication.
Years ago, when we had the podcast, we were trying to get the guy that he gets shot. He goes up to Sawyer in Dharmaville, and he's carrying wood, and he gets shot. And we had a thing called the log carrying guy, and we had. Literally had a shirt with his logo on it. Yeah.
Yes,
I was going back and forth with this guy. It might have been MySpace. I don't know. It was MySpace or something where I was just going back. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I did. No, I can't do it this day. And finally I told Jay, I go, look, if you want to pursue it, fine. I go, I'm done. And that ended it right there. I just said, it just gets to a point where it's like, either you want to do it or you don't. Yeah, but I know you guys are doing a documentary, so it's a lot more important. But I was just like,
and there's
I'm a quitter.
Like we're gonna finish filming at some point in the next 6 months, and it's you don't want to leave anything on the table. You don't want the movie to come out and be like, man, we really should have tried to get in touch with Josh Holloway. It's weird that we didn't. That's not what you want to.
Right.
The worst is you don't want to do. And I had this happen on one of my docs where you go and you're like at the premiere. And somebody shows up and they're like, why didn't you ask me to be in your movie? I would have loved to be in your movie. And you're like, well, God, we tried. Fuck. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, is dealing with agents and publicists and stuff. There's some people that we've talked to where I'm like, I know they didn't reach out. I know they didn't reach out to their client. And so, you try to do it through other means, like personally through like social media and stuff, but that's, they're not getting it. They're not getting everything. We're kind of hoping that
the strike affected anybody, like basically saying,
that's a good question.
No, I'm not gonna like.
It's been a reason for not joining us now. I don't want to use the word excuse to not be in the movie, but if someone says that they can't do the documentary because of the strike, our reply is, great. We'll schedule you as soon as it ends. We do not take it as a no. We take it as a yes. Yeah. But unfortunately, the strike is happening, so we'll get to you after. But they're fully allowed.
Which could bite us in the ass if the strike goes longer than we're filming, which is possible at this point. The strike could outlast our documentary.
Sounds like it is. It's going to be.
But according to the WGA, or according to the SAG, folks who are on strike are allowed to be in documentaries. There's also a micro budget thing where if you're if your movies
we are a non-union independent micro budget documentary, it's okay to be in our movie. I think a lot of it is optics. Like if you're like on strike as an actor and a picture of you sitting in front of a camera shows up on the internet, that's not great. Like even though it's allowed, even though it's fine, you don't want to have to explain.
Right.
Like, hey, why were you doing that? I saw you in front of a camera. I thought you were on strike. And it's like, it's not worth it for our little piddly documentary.
But it was funny. I mean, that's what like a lot of actors that went to Comic-Con this year, that's what they were saying is like, hey, I'm still coming for that panel. I can't talk about the show, but I can talk about other things. You know, then that to me is no different than this. It's just, you know, it's past work. It's something that they can talk about and reminisce about, but they're not promoting anything.
But I can see what Taylor's saying though. It just takes that one thing and then it's posted on social media. Then it gets, you know, makes the rounds. And then that person's like, no, it was just no. Who wants to deal with that?
Anybody who's following like Sean Whalen, who played Frogurt, if you follow him on TikTok, he's been posting a lot of stuff about people's perceptions of who he is and how much money he makes. And, you know, like, you know, why are you talking so much about, you know, about residuals and getting paid and all this stuff when you're a millionaire? And he's like, I'm definitely not a millionaire.
Right.
And so people have this perception of what it means to be an actor, what comes with that. And if they do see him with the clapperboard, we did a few interviews at a specific time recently, and we just put July on the clapperboard
because people would prefer it have been the beginning of July.
Yeah.
Let's say it was, because this is on the internet.
But that's the thing is we change things around. Like we want to accommodate everybody. We want to make sure everybody's cool with hanging out with us. I don't want anybody to have to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know,
speaking of, sorry.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's optics. Everything, everybody gets scrutinized for everything. And it's just like, you know, we just want you to talk about a show.
Have you had to like say like, hey, we're not, this isn't through ABC. We're not.
Yeah, the responses to those have been, we were told by WGA and SAG that you are absolutely allowed to be in this documentary. We understand that you'd be uncomfortable doing so we can work on it as soon as the strike's over. So yeah, there's two people that use that as a reason not to join us. And we really want those two people.
I know I tried, but I'm not
we're gonna play ball, we're gonna play nice. I'm not gonna needle them.
Yeah.
No, I think the problem we're gonna run into is the strike will end, and we're one of like 40 things they agreed to do as soon as the strike ended, and we're the least important of the 40 things. So that first week, they're gonna be like, yeah, but I got to do these 2 movies and a sitcom and this other thing that we're all waiting for this week.
Yeah.
Can you, since a lot of these, like, can you just have the interview through Zoom? Can you just be like, hey, we just need an hour of your time? Like, even we'd love it for it to be in person, but worst case scenario, we'll take this.
I'm just zero curious. Interviews. We've shot 0 interviews using desktop cameras.
Oh, okay.
We've done remote shoots.
We did one.
Oh, that's right. We did one. That's right. We did do one,
but it fit. So this is the guy that ran Dark UFO, which was the biggest spoiler website for Lost, which is a big deal. It's like the first time people cared about spoilers for TV. Was this
friendships were lost over those fucking spoilers?
100%. So this guy was
I still remember the guy that told me who was in the coffin before I saw it, and it was the day it was going to air, and I was like,
Jack, right?
I was like, why are you telling me? No, it was a guy that I worked with, and he was just doing it just to like be like, well, I looked it up, and I'm like,
I was spoiled on another podcast website. No, it wasn't Dharma Lars. It was, I don't want to say it was Lost Cast, but it might have been Lost Cast.
but spoilers are a huge thing about the Lost community and that.
But other than that one interview, we have a cool concept for that interview Taylor came up with, and it's pretty neat. If you look at our Instagram page at Getting Lost Doc, you can see the announcement for Dark UFO is on a Dharma computer.
Nice.
And that's how the Zoom feed, and we put him on the old Dharma computer and then filmed that with the expensive cameras. So it doesn't look like a Zoom call.
Yeah.
It looks like he's trapped in a Dharma computer.
But we
Giving
have
out
done some
spoilers.
remote shoots, which have been really fun to do, where
Mhm.
Taylor and I have been on Zoom, but we've had cameras set up according to Taylor's specifications in Canada to talk with Nikki Stafford.
Mhm.
We just did one last week with Daniel Roebuck in Florida. We didn't really have the funds to just fly down to Florida for one interview. So his wife, Daniel's wife, is a DP, and had a small crew set up the cameras. Me and Taylor were there via Zoom watching as the interview was conducted, and it works out. The footage looks amazing. Like we really are taking pride. We don't want this to look like a COVID era
Right.
movie where everything's on Zoom.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid Zoom where we can. And a bunch of our interviews when we started, we're all wearing masks. It's COVID times, and it's like I don't love that behind the scenes look because it dates it so much.
Yeah.
And we're just getting out of it, and nobody wants to watch anything COVID related.
Speaking of dating, we our first shoot was back in December, and Christmas decorations. A lot of behind the scenes pictures with Christmas decorations. I looked at a picture of Sean Whalen. I'm like, oh my gosh, he had so many Christmas decorations up at his place. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about all the Christmas decorations that we had to like shoot around and move. And it's kind of fun because also we didn't announce until like a couple months later. And so we didn't want pictures of like Christmas trees and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It was the very first shoot we did was a interesting, for me especially, was very interesting. It is the first time I had ever been on the set as a producer, and it was a little bit of a learning curve, but I think by the time like halfway through that shoot there was a couple of cancellations, and we were able to pivot okay. I definitely felt better after that. I feel much better saying that I'm a producer now than I did back then. Because it's just been like, seriously, like we had our second shoot where it was like one day we had like 4 interviews. I think it was like Naomi Kyle, Sonia Walger, Eric Lang, and was it
all the same day?
All on the same day, and they were all within. They were all within like 4 miles of our sort of main base at our DP's house. Like it was like, nice. And I just felt like, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe I set up the schedule. Yeah, I produced. I got the people who were near each other, so we didn't have to,
nice job, producer.
But it felt good.
Like, sometimes you get all the way down to San Diego and these people are like a half hour late. They're just getting out of the swimming pool. They don't want to do the interview. They bring their kids. It's this whole thing. Sometimes the producer can only do so much, And
then Ralph just shows up, in his blue car.
I can tell I wasn't in the pool because there was no shrinkage. It wasn't me.
You weren't it. It wasn't you. Yeah, it wasn't you. Jack got a phone call from me. This is not the darker side, but definitely wasn't a lighter side of the producing thing. Was try to wrangle 4 Glatfelters who
are on
decided vacation. We're great. We're grateful for anybody who decides to come and be in our thing, but like it was the first day in San Diego, and we had a long shoot. We had like a good 3 days in San Diego, and then we're heading up to LA for another like 2 days. And it was the very, very start. I had driven down there at like left at 6 a.m. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I scoped out the studio, saw how far it was from the Glatfelters hotel. And then,
which was close by.
Yeah. It was
actually, I was like,
pulling.
my hotel was at my sister's house. It was like 20, 25 minutes away. So,
But I called you. I called you, and I
Yes.
might have texted you, and I was just like, "Can you do me a favor and just kind of get there a little bit early? I'm going to try to get these kids to. I want to be ready by the time these kids show up."
and I said, sure, I'm a professional. I whatever you need.
Yeah.
It was like, I think that was the most tense I had been the entire shoot. Like there was a day we shot in the same day. We shot Michael Giacchino, Jorge Garcia, and Hector Navarro in one day. And it's one of those days where you don't get sleep at night because you're like, these are like really 3 like good interviewees, and there's a lot, like 2 of those guys canceled on the previous one for very, very good reasons. And so it's like, this is our chance to really get them in the can, get their footage so that we can start sending out a sizzle reel. And with Mike and Jorge, those are big gets for when you're doing a documentary about Lost. And less pressure. I felt less pressure that day than try to wrangle Jay. It was, I got it. We got it done, and the interview's great. But like, I was just like, this is the start of my week.
Yeah,
we have
I
a
don't understand it. I called Ralph, and I'm like, but it's Jay and Jack, right? These are your friends.
Yeah.
They don't remember me, but I know them. They're just dudes, right? Why is it so hard?
Jay is my friend, and you hope that friends would be like, I'm going to do this for you. I'll be there on time.
I know the Lost community loves Jay and Jack. They're a huge part of it. My favorite thing, we posted the announcement photo, and it's here's Jay and Jack, blah, 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 blah. And, everybody's like, yay, Jay and Jack. Oh, my God, that takes me back. That reminds me. And there's one comment on one of our socials that said something like, I'm the biggest Lost fan in the world, and I have no idea who the fuck these guys are. It's like, that's amazing.
But I mean, but still,
that was me. I made that.
Well,
Jay and Jack have been name dropped by several interviews before.
Oh yeah, part of the story for sure. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
I think one of the amazing things about, and just hearing about all of these interviews that are taking place, and just even this documentary, is that, and I know this is true for the Star Wars community. Sadly, a lot of these actors die. Oh. And I'm just saying,
who are you trying to kill off?
The idea that it's a time capsule, like even being able to get these interviews right now, and to wrap your arms around the idea of Lost, all the people involved, everybody from the community level all the way up to the actors. And to me, that's like such a great thing, because sadly, like, you just don't know. Like, I mean, even with the actor strike and the writer strike that's going on, you look at some of these shows that are like going on hiatus, and you're like, okay, any one of these people could be gone, and then you're just never going to be able to pick up that thread again. It's just like, that's like story wise. And
Lance Reddick, like,
we were
the production.
We were DMing, like, I think we would have got him. Like, he was open to communication, at least. He hadn't said yes yet. And then he died a few weeks later.
Oh,
sad.
Yeah, that's
far too young.
But
he was somebody that he was actually somebody I was thinking about, because I was like, because he is gone. Yeah. Just you think about, like,
is it going to be like just a 2 hour thing, or is it going to be like different parts? Or
somebody asked me on somewhere, maybe it was Twitter, they asked, what's the runtime going to be? And I'm like, I have no idea. We've shot like over 30 hours of footage, and it's on 3 cameras mostly.
Likely it'll probably be around 90 minutes, because that's what people on their couch will want to watch for a documentary about a thing. But for Lost fans, like on the DVD and on the digital versions, we'll probably have 4 more hours of bonus content. Like, we're not going to throw anything away that is good content, but the end
Lady
thing.
Jack
I mean,
stuff.
maybe it'll be 108 minutes if we want to get that cute with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor, you posted a video today. I don't know if you noticed this or not. I don't know if it was on purpose.
It was not up.
It was 42 seconds long.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
really?
it's like, of course it's 42 seconds long.
Nice.
Terrific.
Way to go, Taylor.
Yeah, we've been really milking the numbers on this Indiegogo thing.
Look,
No,
it's all we've got.
Now I know you're far from putting this into some kind of visual like context, but are there going to be things like, hey, we're going to talk about the numbers, or are those things just going to be sprinkled in throughout in between the interviews? Or I'm just throwing out ideas as far as like, is it broken down
every
by
single
topics
interview?
Yeah,
I think every single interview we've done, we have asked what the numbers were.
Yeah.
oh wow,
Structure wise, it's hard to say at this point.
I know that's really early on because
the content is there. In my mind, there's like a perfect world where we have like really fun bits around the things, because just listening to people sit and talk for 2 hours can get old, as podcast listeners know. You just get a bunch of people sitting around going, "Remember Lost? That was great," and then you do that for 2 hours. So we want to do fun things. Like when we go to Hawaii, I want to have someone give us a tour of the YMCA camp, and like let's go to the beach and talk to the owners where it says no trespassing and get kicked out. Like stuff that's not just interviews, that's more fun. And we could definitely have maybe some Lost expert explaining the numbers to us in a fun educational way, like a Bill Nye the Science Guy type of bit. But I don't know. It depends how much money we raise on Indiegogo if we could afford to do any of this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we're off to a terrific start.
Correct.
Which is
I'm just trying to encourage your listeners to back our
Yeah.
So even though that it's funded, they could still use some more money to make this look top notch. So we want top shelf quality. So
exactly.
So go ahead and go over to what is that?
We want a second interview with Jack. We're going to need more money.
CGI.
At least $10 this time.
Yeah.
That'll get you 20 Jack in the Box tacos.
Exactly. That's what I say.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's a lot of tacos.
That's a lot of
Man.
tacos.
And if the Padres hit a home run, it's a free jumbo Jack. So there you go.
Jack, they have breakfast tacos now with Jack in the Box.
No way. When did they get these?
I was just there. It had to have been real recent because a friend of mine just tried them out on the internet on TikTok, and he said, hey, they're pretty okay.
Oh man, that bums me out. But before we go on,
I'll mail you some.
We should take a commercial break.
42-minute mark.
It was 42, 45.
42. That's one of the numbers.
I was trying to do it sooner, but we started talking about Jack in the Box, and I got swept up.
Right.
Go ahead.
This is probably getting a little ahead. I mean, unless you have a point you want to make real quick.
No, it's just a numbers thing.
The number, yeah.
Our Indiegogo is currently at $48,888, which is 116%. So 4888816.
Nice.
Anytime the lost numbers come up, Ralph sends me a text with a screenshot that's like, look.
But what's funny is you think the way I've been doing it looks like I'm just sitting on Indiegogo refreshing the page all day long. I'm not. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and I'll just pop it up, and I'll just be like, "Oh, hey, we're about to hit this," and then we do, and then
For those that are just listening to the podcast and not joining our show live, and why wouldn't you? But all of Taylor's background is basically lost artwork. So, some really cool lost artwork.
I have a lost reference. That statue of Green Lantern is the same Green Lantern that's in Walt's comic book.
Oh, nice.
What is that little tape that you held up there, Taylor?
That is the VHS tape of the movie We're Not Done Making.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
I like it.
Which you can get right now on Indiegogo.com.
Just go over there and spend $108.
Oh, it's more than that.
Yeah, the VHS is a little more than that.
Okay.
They're handmade, signed by us, and you get some additional perks with it. But
nice.
Yeah, the VHS is
fish biscuits.
You
We
maybe.
might have some in the mystery boxes.
Now I thought I'm trying to remember in the sizzle reel, like you had Bobby Monahan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So because I know he was a big Lost fan. So
He has the fish biscuit machine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what sparked my mind.
Is it still in his living room?
Yes. Look
In his
at
It's
that.
in
apartment?
storage.
Oh, and
We
Oh,
found out that
and-
it's in storage.
And Nick is sporting his Dharma beer.
Yeah,
I
I got this
love
at the I
that.
got this at the Lost auction.
Nice.
I got this from unnamed source from the set.
Yeah.
It got set on fire in the hatch.
Oh wow,
AKA the bunker.
nice.
And it's dripping
I had a
Malamar dust on
Dharma.
my desk.
I had a Dharma tequila bottle, I think, from when I was in Hawaii. It was at one of their events, and I put it on a shelf in a house that was not my house, and my dad threw it away because it was an empty bottle.
Oh fuck.
And he was just like,
Oh,
I came back, I was gone on a trip or something, and I'm like, what happened to that bottle that was clearly on a shelf for decoration? He's like, oh, it's trash, recycled it.
I got 5 cents for it.
Come on.
I have a Hydra hat. I don't know where it's at though right now. I think I put it in storage from someone from the show. Sent it to me.
oh, nice.
Ironically, it's underwater.
You mean
Yeah.
hide? I got you. I'm thinking Agents of Shield for some
Yeah,
reason.
Hell Hydra.
Yeah,
No.
like Hell Hydra. Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah. So I started to ask earlier. You mentioned VHS and not that you can put it on VHS, but like DVD or Blu-ray, whatnot. Are you going to try to reach out to streaming services, Hulu, Netflix, or nice. So everyone out there, you're showing us a Blu-ray copy.
Why it doesn't focus? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was just my eyes being old.
It's focused. Oddly enough, it's focused on the farthest back spot, and you're there now. It's focused on you. Boom,
there you go.
Blu-ray
I-
disc.
I'm sorry, what about streaming?
So you thinking about? Are you going to
What
reach out?
about streaming?
Are you going to try to get to a streaming service, or you think you're just going to go straight to physical media?
We'll definitely go straight to physical media first, and for the Indiegogo backers and stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, digital, and we want to put it in theaters too, at
Well,
least
that'd be
a
great,
handful, and do these events because it's going to be the 20th anniversary of Lost. Lost
Right.
fans are going to want to get together. There's nothing better than getting everybody together in a space, watch a movie that all your old Lost friends are in, and then hang out after and drink Dharma beer and have a
What
good
about-
time.
What about sunset on the beach?
Yeah, it's that. I think we'd have to raise a bit more money to be able to pull that one off,
go all the
but it's
way.
not a bad idea. I think
'Cause that was
would be
that was
amazing.
pretty cool.
So everybody needs to donate
It's like-
$1,000 and 1,080.
You're right though. Like
That festival.
Lost fans will always get together. Like Ralph and I went and saw Giacchino in 2018 in LA.
Yeah.
Do a whole bunch of stuff live. It was great.
I got Jack's ticket.
That's right.
That's right.
And my wife's
I-
ticket. Yeah,
Aw.
Yeah, me and Steve went because of the hurricanes that never happened.
yeah. The
Yeah.
hurricanes were coming. We said, "Look, we can't go. Let's just give." The
Oh
tickets
yeah,
to
I
Ralph."
remember that. Yeah.
And then the hurricane, I think that was like, whew, and that was a leaf blew across the deck. Or something. That was it. That was about it. I go, I guess we could have went.
Worked out good for me.
Yeah,
That was a great venue too.
was a
The
great
Ford.
I think they were good tickets, weren't they? They were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
not
a
a
small.
bad-
It's like a mini version of the Hollywood Bowl, but it's right there.
I
next to
was
the
I was
Hollywood
so
Bowl.
bummed,
Yeah.
but at least they went. At least you got to use them. So
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. That. I've been to the Lost concert 3 times. Haven't paid for a single one, so they're pretty good. Doing
Well
pretty
done.
good.
well, if it comes around again, I'll buy them just so you can have them.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you guys know about Michael Giacchino in our movie?
He's doing the soundtrack.
That would be
kind of.
fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
What?
Yeah. He gave us 25 tracks, an hour and 5 minutes of unreleased, fully orchestrated music.
What?
That's
In 2009.
Wow.
Wow.
That he did
2009,
while he
and
was
it's-
doing Lost.
He did while he was
Nice.
doing Lost, and it's essentially sounds like Lost, but with woodwinds. And
Huh.
if you watched our first look on our Indiegogo, or if you watched the live stream that we did on our YouTube channel, all the music you're hearing there is not from Lost. It's from this music that Michael gave us, and it just sounds like Lost music. Like if you go back and look at our first look again at Indiegogo, the Indiegogo page at gettinglost.com, that music is unreleased, fully orchestrated Michael Giacchino music that is really not a part of Lost at all, but really sounds like Lost for our purposes. So it's that's kind of amazing. Like
that is amazing.
I mean, one of the reasons
he
why
sounds like a nice guy.
he is.
He smells like a nice guy.
Yeah.
I took a nap in his bed when he wasn't.
This one's too soft.
Well, yeah, it's like Matt, and so is Ralph. Like we're all big Star Wars fans. Like I always loved. There's a story he told about when they offered him to do Rogue One, and he kind of didn't want to do it. Not because he didn't want to do it; it's because he was scared to death to do it. And
that's me trying to produce this movie. At first, I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
Exactly the same. That's exactly the same.
But his score to Rogue One is amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah,
so
I mean,
good.
but it was his brother that actually had
brother.
to convince him. He's like, no, he's like, dude, you've been preparing to do this soundtrack your entire life. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's such a great story of, and it did. He knocked it through the park.
He picked a good one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ralph, you've been preparing for this your whole life.
Not really. But I think I've adapted fairly well. I was a wreck because the Indiegogo was another thing that I was not prepared for, and I really kind of hands off. Emily and Taylor have been really, really focused on it, and then I kind of pop in with maybe a graphic or two, or setting up like domain, like kind of the boring stuff. I guess it's all kind of boring stuff, but just the fact where it's like there's still people in this movie that we want to get, and we want to make sure that I want to make sure that this Indiegogo goes really well. Taylor kept talking about the first 48 hours of Indiegogo are crucial, and I'm like, I don't want this to get bungled and then not get taken seriously by people who haven't agreed to join us yet. And luckily,
it's a very public thing. It's like,
you're putting yourself
with our hat in our hand, asking people for money. And if we don't get money, like, not that it's like all about the money, but it is a little bit all about the like showing the whole world how strong the Lost community is. Like you talked about streamers, right? You do a really good crowdfunding campaign, you start to get emails from the people at Hulu and Netflix and Amazon, and they go, hey, we see there's an audience for your thing. Maybe it should be on our thing. And distributors and other things like that. It's a credibility thing, almost more than it's a money thing. It's like if we can prove to the world that Lost fans are still here, and doing it, and I think we have in the first 48 hours by reaching our funding goal super fast.
I think we still think we have like 10 more hours before we hit our 48-hour mark.
Wow.
So it could all fall apart.
But I mean, everyone's come out.
Don't tell me that now.
It's been fantastic. And so for anybody looking to have everything you want in this documentary, if you want all the things that every fan wants, we all know who we want in the documentary.
Yeah, if one more person messages us about how we should try to get Matthew Fox in this documentary, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to tell them. Like, I can't believe we didn't think of that. I don't know.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, if you're a person that wants that to happen, just spread around the page. Let people know to come to the Indiegogo, which is at gettinglost.com, and toss in a buck or two. We're not asking for a lot. We really, the best thing you can do is share it out to your friends, because chances are your friends are also Lost fans and might not have heard of this, and so just keep sending it out. Oh my gosh, yesterday I was just thumbing through my Instagram stories and just seeing everybody posting the teaser video that Taylor put up in the morning.
The
And
one with
just
Jack
with
in it.
every single person that did it, I'm like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And then today, yesterday, Jorge sent it out. Today, Michael Giacchino sent it out.
Oh,
Michael
nice.
Giacchino posting that today. We started getting a couple of people at one of the at the highest tier. We got a person at the highest tier right after that happened, and then a couple more at the second highest tier. And then today, the Dharma computer went to somebody. We had one Dharma computer that Taylor had made to shoot in the movie. You can see that in the first look too. You'll see the Dharma computer that we shot, or that he shot, and now is going to have a home. So it takes like anybody to just share it to if you share it to, if Michael shares it to, 100,000 of his followers, or Matt sends it out to, I don't know, 100 of his followers, like a Lost fan's a Lost fan. If a Lost fan sees it, they're going to check out the page. It doesn't matter the number of people it's sending out to, as long as we're hitting Lost fans. Michael could have,
never know, right? Like so many people, so many different kinds of people were Lost fans. We think of it as like the podcast nerds and the message board people. But my mom liked Lost, and everybody liked Lost, and whether they want to watch a documentary about it 20 years later, that determines how much they liked Lost. But a lot of people liked it a whole lot. I know that.
But I mean, look at the Lost panel at Comic-Con every year. There's people like Jack. There's people who are the opposite of Jack. There's kids.
There's people like Jack.
But you know what I mean? Like the whole gamut of people.
Did you just say Jack was the opposite of a kid?
Yeah.
Well, I am old. Is that what you're getting at?
But you know what I mean? But it ranges from like Jack was always known as bitter. Or Jay was bitter.
But Jack
Jack was
I will say that like the one thing Jack
it was bitter Jay.
Yeah.
The one thing that Jack has always said though about going to Comic-Con and doing the Lost panel every year, he's always been like, I'm just amazed that there are still people discovering Lost.
Yeah,
there's still people that are coming to Lost and watching it for the first time and coming up with new theories and coming there and wanting to talk about it. So that just speaks to the testament and the power of like the show, the mystery, the characters, the writing.
And there would be more people at it if they didn't push it to the library. I mean, seriously, because if you've ever been to Comic-Con, it's you can't just go from A to Z in like 10 minutes. It's a nightmare, and the library is all the way by Petco Park. Yeah. And so if there's something you want to do, say ours is from 3 to 4, you want to do something at 4, there's no way you're getting to your destination until 5. So people go, I really wanted to come to it, but I had to go see something else. And I've been saying this, every year I go, okay, no one's going to want to talk about Lost, but people,
it's like what
they
Matt,
do.
Yeah, it's like what Matt was just saying. Like, not this year's Comic-Con, but 2022. I'm always, like Matt was saying, I'm always amazed people who just discover the show, because there was a 19 or 20-year-old young woman at Jay and Jack's panel last year, and she was 10 or 9 when the show ended. And she had just discovered it, with her dad, and had binged the whole thing. And she needed like Jay and Jack's panel as an outlet to just like say all this stuff, because she had no one to discuss it with. And she was brilliant. Like, she basically took the whole panel, because it was just like watching someone in love with the show for the first time.
And that's what's great is sending this stuff out to everybody and retweeting it, is that you might find those people that you didn't know. You might get new friends because of it. There was a young woman on TikTok who did a like a live reaction to our first look on our Indiegogo.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, the video before that was her saying, you probably don't know this about me, but I'm way into Lost, and there's a documentary about Lost coming out. And she pointed her phone at our live stream, and I'm seeing myself on this kid's TikTok. She has like 42,000 followers or whatever.
Wow.
And it's like, you don't know who who has been secretly streaming. Back then, we had message boards.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of active Lost message boards out there. There's like the Lost Reddit and stuff.
The
And we met
Reddit's still
somebody
pretty
who's
active.
new to Lost.
Oh,
and
is it?
That's their outlet was the Reddit. But you know, the more you share this stuff, the more you start discovering, wait a second, there's people out there still talking about Lost, because before 2 days ago, I was afraid that we were going to put out our Indiegogo about Lost and be like, just crickets, because who knows how many Lost fans there are out there.
But
and apparently there's a ton, and there's got to be more.
Well, to Nick saying about the young girl, you have a lot of this one. I think the last one, there was parents there who are now having their kids watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the kids are into it.
I've been waiting to introduce it to my kids. Like, I've been just
Lost
waiting
ended
for the right
13
moment.
years ago. And I
2015.
think like 13 is the number that Michael Giacchino said he started introducing it to his kids every time one of his kids turned 13. Jorge, I believe on the live stream yesterday, said around 12 or 13.
He said 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
the
hitting
show-
that spot where all the parents are, you know.
The show's never
showing
gonna.
kids.
It's always going to be relevant because those. I mean, if you're in, it's one of those shows that obviously sucks us all in. You know, we got to obsess with it, and that you're just going to have. It's just going to keep going.
My just to talk about my kids for a moment, but my daughter who's 16 and my son who's 13, we've been watching a lot of Star Trek. We've been watching Strange New Worlds, and Strange New Worlds just had their season 2 final. It was like a cliffhanger. And it was so funny because my daughter just absolutely, she's like, oh, I cannot believe it. They landed it on this to be continued. And she's so frustrated. And she's figuring out that there's an actor-writer strike, so it could take even longer for the
Yeah.
And there's part of me that's just like, I was like, yeah, so let me tell you about this show called Lost.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about being frustrated for cliffhangers. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
We used to have to walk uphill both ways in the snow to watch Lost.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And then you'd be refreshing like Wikipedia pages and random shit that you'd find on the internet, just seeing if it would update with more information.
Yeah, that
So,
one page that had all the screenshots every like 2 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What
it's
was that
still
page?
up.
Yeah.
I've used it for the documentary. That page is still
really?
up. You can find all those screenshots. Like, I need an image from this one episode. I wonder where it is. Oh, it's there.
And wasn't it like
Nice.
9 toward like was it season 3 on? It was like 9 months late. You had to wait like 9 months, 6 to 9 months, something like that.
Between season 2 and 3, we waited forever, and then they just dropped that first pod of
Yeah.
like 6 episodes
6
of the
episodes.
pages.
Right.
And then we had to wait
Yeah.
from like December till like
That was
March or something for the rest of the season. So we
I
didn't
still
see,
say
like,
I still
early
say the
May
worst
guys.
one was into season 3, Snake in the Mailbox, where wait, what?
and then we had the
That
writer
must
strike
be
because season 4 was like the
Oh,
short
that's right. Yeah,
season.
that's
We
right.
lost
Yeah.
2 episodes of Lost because of the first writer strike.
Oh man, that
That
was
one, not the
yeah.
first one.
that was long. So, but no, to speak to that aspect though, it's something that I'm excited to share with my kids. Even if my wife is like, "Wait, what? You're gonna show them that now?" Like,
It seems really hard. I mean, to even imagine watching Lost now, knowing that all the answers are out there, that you can
Right.
just turn on your computer phone
Right.
hand thing, which we didn't have, and just ask it, "Hey Siri, what happens at the end of Lost?"
mm-hmm.
And it's right there. Because whether you like spoilers or not, watching Lost for 6 years, you had to have been tempted to be like, "Fuck, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And so if you're watching it now, and that information, not only is it out there, you have to actively avoid it.
It's so what I've noticed with my daughter and watching shows with her, because we went through Parks and Rec and stuff like that, and some other shows.
Don't spoil
And
me.
we'll be halfway through a show, and she'll start really getting invested in the characters and what have you, and she'll start looking up fan art, and then the fan art is the thing that will spoil, and be like, oh, these 2 people end up together, or this happens.
Oh, little Sebastian dies.
Right.
R.I.P.
Like the
No,
only
he was actually on the writer's strike. I saw.
Yeah.
on TikTok.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
neat.
he's
Yeah.
out on the line.
Yeah. So
that's what was neat even with Game of Thrones. Like people like myself who read the books. There were so many people who didn't, and they still stayed spoilers free. And I loved how many people who were videotaping people like with their reaction to the red wedding, the purple wedding, these things of like people who did not know what was coming. You just see like the horror on their face.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
because I didn't read the books, and I was like,
yeah,
yep,
yeah. So
Lost.
Yeah. Everyone have your kids watch Lost, and so they can get up the Indiegogo.
We literally talked about Lost for about an
tapes.
hour. So I think that your documentary is going to be successful.
I hope so. I think it will.
I honestly believe
I think Taylor and I, maybe Emily, have seen pretty much all the footage, so we know what we're giving you guys. And as a Lost fan, you're gonna love it. You really are. I think you'll really enjoy it.
And for me, I was kind of shocked. Your questions aren't really standard. I mean, there's some, but there's some questions you're like, well, I didn't even think about. I now have to think about that for a second. So it's well, I'm just saying it's a good thing because it's not going to be,
Well,
yeah. We tried to shape it to be not. It's not like, let's sit and talk about like what's your favorite episode and tell me about the character that you most identify with. It's not a pop quiz of like which Lost character are you. It's about the phenomenon, the bigger picture thing of it all, which to me is the interesting part, but also is not something we talk about, because when people get together and talk about Lost, they want to talk about the four-toed statue and the thing and the lockdown and the constant. And you want to talk about how does time travel work differently for some people and then other people, and why does season 4 have to be like, all that stuff. When we're talking Lost with Lost people, that's what you want, but that's not a movie. Like, that's not a documentary of like people just still theorizing about Lost 20 years later, which is fun. And we do it like on our drives to and from interviews. But the story of Lost, I think, is bigger than that. It's this pop culture thing that happened that we were all there for. That's never going to happen again, right? There's no more network TV with 20 million people viewing it.
Yeah.
And
it's the beginning of DVRs. It's the beginning of podcasting. It's the beginning
of
Twitter.
We're never going to be at the dawn
MySpace.
of that and at the end of broadcast network television at the same time. That crossroads was Lost. And that's the story, is like, what does that do?
It's kind of like the Beatles almost. It's like in that way where it's just like it's the right band, the right formula at the right time, and all things kind of
just edgy enough, but your parents are okay with them, and they're cute boys in suits, but they're kind of rock and roll.
They got long hair.
That long hair.
Started as a boy band and start to rebel. Yeah.
Kind of like you were saying, Taylor, is Lost. Also, you're not going to have network television spending the kind of money on a television show that ABC spent on Lost.
But there's certain things that they could never have foreseen. I mean, the money that they put into it, they could have never seen the podcasting phenomenon. And I mean, not just the fact that I'm here just talking with Jack and I've made a lifelong friend with these guys through Lost. It's the fact that there would be episodes. We all know those episodes. There would be episodes like the final episode or a season, and you would go on and you would listen to every single Lost podcast you could find, just scouring. You'd be like, I'd be out there mowing the lawn, just like listening to like another, like, well, I haven't heard this Lost. Like,
wait, hold on a second. Wait, you listen to other Lost podcasts?
Well, yeah. I would always have.
That's great.
I would always listen to Jay and Jack. But there would be those things where I was just like, well, Jack's too old. He doesn't get me. Jay's too young. He's just not. He's
too whiny.
So I need a different perspective here. So I need to.
Ralph's about your age, right?
Ralph, Ralph, I
think
think
we're
he's
almost exactly.
Are we 70? Are we both 76? Or are you 77?
I'm 77.
Yeah. But I think we're like
I'm a
4
kid.
months apart. Like you're
Yeah,
January.
you guys don't
77.
look like you're
I'm
70.
February.
That's
Oh, February of 77.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm October of 76. So we're about 5.
Oh, yeah, we're-
months apart. Yeah.
62. Anybody?
Holy crap!
Anybody?
Did you watch Batman on TV
The
when it
original.
came out?
Yeah.
The Adam West, that you'd be right in the right age.
I did not. I did not.
Did you have a shorthand radio that you like tuned in and
I did watch Batman live
for Batman
so,
theories?
Yeah, so
That's great.
Batman.
Back then, though, you'd have like 80 episodes for a season.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, that's because you always talk about Star Trek. It was only on for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yet they film 33, 34 episodes a season.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Well,
they,
the first, the classic. Yeah. So
And that's
like
another
even the-
thing, that's
Yeah.
another thing Lost changed is if they hadn't negotiated those last 3 seasons to be shorter,
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be having, the renaissance of TV of these 8 to 12 episode seasons
Right.
that have an end date in mind from the get-go. That
Mhm.
was,
The BBC method. Yeah. We actually talked about this a few weeks ago on this podcast about how people forget that they overlook that the relevance of someone saying like, oh, because that's what, Lindelof and Carlin Hughes said that we only want to do 3 seasons. And then, they were like, no, and ABC was like 10 seasons. And it's like, no. And then they kept renegotiating. And it was and like no one had done that before. And it's like, you have to thank those guys for the great TV we have now.
I mean, they trailblazed the way for the Breaking Bad. Which again still had to negotiate. Like, well, we want to do 1 more season, but AMC's like, can you spread it out over 2 years? And it's like, well, does that water down the content?
right.
So,
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny. I'm not sure if anyone uses this terminology because I want to say Jay and Jack made it up as a joke in the 3rd season. So because when we were introduced to the tailies, I think Jay or Jack once said something like, "What's going to be next season in the wingies?" Because it's like, what other parts of the plane can these people come from? And I've always said that, kind of like going back to Star Trek. It used to be always the red shirts. The red shirts are the guys that are going to die, and so like. Whenever you would be watching a movie or TV show and some random character would appear, I would always be like, "Oh, there's a wingy," a person that's not in part a wingy,
Nice.
a person that's not part of the show, but there's some reason they're in the show now. And my
Nicky
nephew,
Palos.
the Nicky and Paulos, they're wingies. It's like, where the hell did you guys come from? You're wingies, and
They're arsed.
yeah. But I'm pretty sure Jay or Jack said this years ago. But my nephew though,
sounds like
maybe
a Jay joke.
yeah. It probably was a Jay joke, yeah. But my nephew, who's 13 now, was hanging out with some of his friends, and he's a big TV junkie, like a lot of us are. And he actually said that he goes, "Oh, that guy's a wingy," and they all looked at him like, "What the hell's a wingy?" And it's like,
It's a lot of things you wouldn't understand.
Chicago
Yeah,
Red
I-
Wings,
Yeah, I still say with Nicky and Paula, they should have been in the front of the plane, and just because there was no way
They were in the toilet.
1,000 times. There was no way they were going to
Charlie
pull
was
this
in the
off.
toilet.
Yeah.
They were going to pull off 2 characters there the whole time that were not there the whole time. Not with this show. Not with like you said, that website where every frame is shown. There was just no way. So you kind of go back. I understand why they did it because they had to stretch the story out, but it was never going to work.
If they could have given us, because they used a lot of the same background actors for all of season 1 and season 2, the local Hawaiian folks.
Mhm.
If they had just moved 2 of them to the foreground,
Yeah.
and then we, the fans who were dissecting everything, and we went back and found them on our own. Don't
Mhm.
spoon
Yeah.
feed it to us and say,
Right.
no, they were there the whole time. But if somebody went back to the pilot and saw, like, holy cow, that's the person who was standing way behind Locke when he wiggled his toes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We would have lost our minds.
Yeah.
We
right.
were like, we
Yeah,
were right
exactly.
the whole time. But
Yep.
No, it's a good point because I think that a lot of people felt like, why are you treating us like we're dumb?
right.
Like that was, I think
And you would do that-
I
you would say
enjoyed
that on
the
Twitter.
I enjoyed the Nicky and Paolo episode for what it is. It's kind of this old little Twilight Zone episode, but the way they gave it to us really just kind of like it dumbed us down.
I think that episode is great. I think the 4 leading up to it that they're just inserted in for no reason
Mm-hmm.
are where it really struggles.
What was it Nick yells at Hurley or something like that? And he's like, who are you to be yelling at Hurley?
Yeah.
Be quiet.
You don't get to talk to Sawyer like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I was actually spoiled on that by a listener from Canada, because they watched it an hour. They watched it an hour earlier, and I was just answering emails and stuff like that. And I listened to a phone call. And I went, "What? Nikki and Paulo what is this person talking about? They got married." I go, "Oh crap! This must have happened on the show tonight. Damn it!" So I was spoiled by a listener from Canada. That's okay. I'm okay.
And like most things with Lost, we just persevered. We were like, okay, I'll accept this.
I can make it. I can be all right.
Yeah.
It's like the rumors where Charlie was going to die, and I kept holding out hope, even when he put his hand on there. And he's about, I go, live. He can still live. Don't kill Charlie.
If Mikhail can make it through that stuff.
Well, that guy, he was a robot or something. He wasn't real, right?
Is that your theory?
I don't know.
A robot?
I just came up with that.
Mikhail is AI.
He's a bot.
Now, would you consider, I mean, kind of off topic, but would you consider the Not Penny's Boat, to me, that's kind of like, to me, the pinnacle of Lost. You know, like everything is still great a show, but
episode.
That episode to me is like everything from that point is kind of not downhill and bad, as in it's just like you've made the climax, you know. Then after that, it's like, okay, now we're wrapping it up
because we actually see the underwater. Because we actually see the underwater hatch.
Yeah.
Which is very important to everybody.
Yeah, but that's the same episode where Jack says we have to go back. Like that episode is huge.
Yeah,
the episode is huge. But there's a point. Let's say if you were to say, hey, what's your least favorite episode of Lost? A lot of people say Stranger in a Strange Land. The very next episode after that.
I recently heard Ralph say this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard
this. I'm saying something different. Well, I might be saying something different, but I'm not going to talk about that part. But I feel like that's a real low point in the show. The very next episode is Trisha Tanaka is dead, where Hurley fires up the Dharma van, and it's like
it's so good.
Like it's a great episode, and from that point on, it's boom, they're going. They've got the deal in for the remainder of the series, and they're able to do the snake in the mailbox, and it just catapults
that second half
4,
of
5, and
3.
6 is nuts.
Yeah, that second half of season 3, it really does take off after.
But it's a literal shift between 2 episodes. Jack gets his tattoos. Hurley gets a Dharma van.
It's kind of like listening. It's kind of like listening to the last song from Rubber Soul, and you're like, "What the fuck was John thinking?"
Yeah, he actually hated that song. Yeah.
And then going to Revolver. So, just my own little Beatles reference there. Because I think
my favorite Beatles
to Nick's point, I think of things as like, well, what is the Sgt. Pepper of this band? What is the Sgt. Pepper of what is? Because I think of it as that, not that it's the end, but it's kind of like a tent pole point. Like
but it was that season 3 finale is like
but it was an amazing cliffhanger, but it was also risky because I remember right after I loved it, but I don't know if I'm gonna love it going forward. I
couldn't sleep that night. I was like, what is this show now? What did they do to the show? What happened?
Yeah. What I mean, are they not going back to the island? What's I mean, it was it
killing
could have been,
killing
it
Charlie
could have been
though was such a big deal because to me Charlie character was not that a lot of us are heroin addicts, but but like you could identify with Charlie because he seemed to be just a regular guy,
Wait, I gotta take a break for a second.
Charlie was my guy. I was playing in bands at the time, and I'm like, fuck, it's so cool. This story of this guy who thinks he's cooler than he is, who gets in a plane crash, and is like, you guys have all heard of me, right? Like that's his vibe. And he's going through this relatable addiction thing, and he's just this real character. And he was just so great. He was one of the main people. And it's sad when you think about, what we know now about the actors maybe being promised more screen time and bigger roles than what they ended up getting. Because going into it, Dominic Monaghan and Harold Perrineau were the movie stars. They were the big gets.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you think about what the show could have been. That's something we've all been talking about a lot lately, is like a Lost where Michael and Charlie had really great storylines that kept going on, and we got a little bit less of Jack and Kate. It might have been even more of my favorite show of all time, but I don't know, because I'll never see it.
Yeah.
I think the aspect of Charlie, even though like we haven't all gone through a heroin addiction, but to break it down into just like if civilization boom stops tomorrow, right? What is the one thing that you need, not heroin, but that you're like creature comfort that you're without? You're like, oh fuck, I can't have that thing. Like we would all be kind of a mess like Charlie.
Yeah.
We'd all be wanting that thing and getting back to just normalcy, and that idea that it's just like this thing that he needs to feel comfortable or sane, or
and that's when we also, I be honest with you, I really liked Locke in the beginning.
Yeah,
right.
Because he was the guy. I mean, he was this, he was the food. He provided the food. He got Charlie off drugs. He
had the haircut.
The great haircut, but he was so important to the survival of the Losties. And then then we start seeing his backstory that he's
right.
He's a mess, and because people go, I don't understand how, but that's why the backstories were so important to the show Lost, because if we didn't have the backstories for Locke, and suddenly he becomes this, insane, person that he became, and gullible we've been like, all right, this doesn't make sense. But with the backstories, it made perfect sense, because that's who he was.
I think that's one of the things I really love about the first 3 seasons in particular of Lost, is because, like a lot of good writing and good shows, you think you have a character figured out, and you have no idea. Like each one of those characters had a hole to fill in themselves, and they're completely different. Like Lost, like you're saying, Lost seemed so confident on that island. He could judge everybody. He knew what he was doing, but then you see his flashbacks, and you're like, wow, you're like this weak, insecure glob of a person.
Well, to be fair, his dad stole his kidney. Then
well, but you don't know that yet. You don't know that yet.
Yeah, his dad pushed him out a window. Spoiler.
But then, like like Charlie, I mean, on the island, to me, Charlie is like what Matt said. He's he's an everyday kind of guy. You can empathize with him, but then you see like how he was always in the backseat to his brother. He was addicted to all these things. And you can see it with every single character, what makes them who they are, and that's what to me was fascinating, just the human journey that each of them went through.
And they had they had to have had it all planned out, how they were going to do certain characters. I mean, I know some things changed because actors wanted out and all that different stuff and everything that went behind the scenes. But it's amazing. Like Jen, I hate.
Yeah,
Jen.
God, everybody hates Jen. Yeah,
Jen's a jerk, and then I love Jen. Take those handcuffs off him. Come on. Dude.
Aside from their death, there's so many people that still this day are so mad that they left their kid, and they both died together. I don't know.
I said it right away on the podcast. Took a lot of heat for it, and now people are finally starting to come around, seeing my side. But I'm sorry. I love you. We've been apart for a long time, but we have a kid, and we're not going to let that your dad raise her. So anyway, I think Jen should have left, but that's just me.
Well, I'm looking on Indiegogo right now at some of these things. You have a thank you, a digital copy, Blu-ray, art poster. You've got the package, which is $108. You got VHS copy, Virgin Mary statue, and you can even get an associate producer credit.
Ooh.
Yeah, as well as an executive producer credit. So if you got $10,000 out there, you can
Somebody bought that
awesome.
today.
I see that.
Producer.
There's only 3 that can be claimed. So, but
Jack,
even for the Blu-ray,
is there a goodie bag inside?
Yeah.
there's a lot of perks here that you guys have listed. So if anybody
we'll have more coming too.
Promote that even further, but getting Lost doc Go check it out and support this. So
I'm getting all geeked up about it. This is
yeah, no, I'm after I get done recording with you guys,
it's funny how we start talking about Lost, and it's well over an hour now, and there were some other things I want to talk about, but that
well, next week.
Well, I did want to, since Ralph was on here, I forgot to ask him when I was in San Diego because I was too stressed out about waiting for Jay to get to the interview. But did you ever see that American Gladiators?
I watched the first two.
You haven't watched the whole thing
Man,
yet?
it's so fucked up. I don't know. I don't know if you know this or not, but I might have I talked to somebody about it. I don't know if it was you, Jack, but
I think it was me.
Maybe like 4 years ago, I started to put the wheels in motion to start an American Gladiator podcast.
Yes.
It was going to be called Gladiator Ready. I grabbed all the socials. I grabbed everything I need. I made the logo, and I was like ready to launch. And what I was going to do is interview American Gladiators. Like I was like, this is what I want to do.
Genius.
And I got a DM from I forget her name, but she played Ice, and she was like, "Hey, are you involved with like Johnny Ferraro? Because I just want to let you know, like, if he catches wind of this, he's gonna sue you. He's super litigious." So I don't know if Johnny Ferraro is still around. He's definitely not in that documentary, but I started watching that American Gladiators documentary, and it's quite the thing.
Yeah, I know you told me. I mean, I might not have been the only one, but you told me about that. I said that'd be a great idea. Because I wanted to be on American Gladiators, and I said, "Oh, this is great." And then you watch this documentary, and you go, "Oh my God, they just get treated like absolute garbage."
Yeah,
I mean, just like the one guy with the long hair, the surfer guy. I never thought he was a good. Yeah, Malibu. I never thought he was a good athlete, and I found out that he wasn't. But I was like, it's just God. He got he tore his knee up or something like that, or back, or
he tore up his.
Yeah, you're gone.
He busted his head. He got concussed getting hit in the human cannonball,
which
and
was his knee. Which is a stupid event.
He kneed his own forehead and concussed himself. He got hit so hard. Yeah.
Whoa.
We spent a good 10 minutes on that.
Man.
But I need to finish watching that. Thanks for reminding me.
It's
brutal.
You just feel so bad for them because they're like professional athletes without they're like the old time professional athletes that were like the NFL. They do the NFL and they play their games and they'd have to get a real job afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time they were done playing, they couldn't walk. You'll probably the same thing with these
You're
American
beyond this
Gladiators.
TV show with no rules or padding.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Because especially when it first started, I mean, it was just. I'd like to find the person who did the human cannibal one. Again, it was literally the stupidest event I ever had. But
they were like, this person.
They were like, "Hey, the Muppets did it with Gonzo. We can do this."
Live action Muppet.
Right.
Yeah, it was. It's a shame, but still love the show. I think they should bring it back, but make it give the Gladiators a little more. At least they finally had more gladiators.
Make it more international.
They used to have they had international.
What is it going to be all American all the time, huh?
Well,
Sorry,
it's an American show.
You're losing me.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you that if you'd seen that. And I finished The Bear.
I'm halfway through.
Oh, good. We can talk about that next week. Bear's great.
I wanted to binge that before we guys talked about that.
It was.
That's
a
reboot of BJ and the Bear.
Yeah,
it's just gritty. It's the gritty prequel to BJ and the Bear.
One of the best theme songs in history.
If you haven't seen The Bear, it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah,
sure.
My favorite episode was the Richie one, cousin one.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you go from that crazy,
spoilers
Christmas episode to the next one. Yeah, but like the Richie episode.
I've heard about this Christmas episode.
It's tense, man. It's most uncomfortable episode.
Is
it
my top 5 good as the Ted Lasso Christmas episode? Because that's what I want.
I had an edible in my system, and I'm like going, "What the fuck is going on?"
Okay, so buyer beware. Don't.
He says edible
on the Christmas one. I'm like, it might have been. It's like going, "What the hell?" And it's a great episode, but it's like, I don't know. Anyway, You haven't seen The Bear? Watch The Bear.
All right, we'll do.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We're not going to explain the ending.
I love that. I love that comment of like, how does that show end? I heard it's controversial. Would it?
What,
Just there's another
American
half
Gladiators?
Yeah, American Gladiators.
Yeah.
What was
that's
the
exactly
season 6 finale of American Gladiators?
They all are in heaven.
Yeah, well,
Nitro becomes the announcer.
yeah,
He did,
spoiler alert.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was like Mike Adamley. Mike Adamley was
Yeah,
great.
Mike Adams. Whatever happened? Whatever happened to that guy? He was doing the NFL shows.
Oh
He
my
was
God, look
doing
at these
American,
guys.
and all of
These
a sudden
guys
he
are
just said,
loving this talk.
he just said, he just was unhireable. What happened? Is he
I don't
still
know.
alive?
I'm
See,
assuming.
nobody knows. You're
Larry Zonka's
assuming.
not.
Yeah, no, Larry Zonka's still alive, isn't he?
Is he? No.
No, did he die?
Someone in the chat will know.
This is why we need Chris.
Yeah,
He's our Googler.
yeah.
Wait, Chris isn't here?
I
I thought he was just looking up shit this whole time. No, he'll probably actually tune in for this episode. He never listens to episodes that he misses,
he's
but
not
I could see him tuning
He
in.
says, "Sorry, gents, I'm on vacation."
So,
Yeah.
but he did want to be here to hang out and talk Lost.
he did.
Though. So
It was his idea to get Ralph on the show.
That's true.
I mean,
I said, "Why?"
what? Why do we want to talk about Ralph? We're just going to talk Star Wars the whole time. So
I like Star Wars.
Yeah, like I actually was
this
thinking
guy
about
over here
mentioning
has
it.
a full built droid. He's
Oh,
built
nice.
droids before.
Yeah,
You mean
So you asked
astromech
Chris
or what kind of droid?
yeah. I made it. I have a life-size R2D2. It's
Nice.
what?
not fully. I don't have the robotics in yet, but it lights up and it's painted. It's life-size. And I have half a C-3PO.
Nice.
It's the like backpack in the black mesh
Oh,
thing.
wow.
It's just in torso. The eyes light up so you can hang on the wall next to R2 because I 3D print them. So making all of 3PO, I'm never going to be skinny enough or tall enough to fit in a 3PO costume. So what's the point? I'm not going to, you can't.
He's 76 years
Robot.
old. Larry
Yes.
Zonka is still
Okay.
alive.
This is
Yeah.
Jack. This is classic Jack podcasting. Just
That's,
throws out random facts as we're talking.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about it. I'm just sorry. I had.
I
to
thought
say
you were
that-
talking about Anthony Daniels there.
It
for a
took you
second.
so long to Google that we had moved on to 3 different
Yeah,
So-
it's like
Well, I
didn't
didn't
Google
do
it. I
it
just
until
picked
Ralph
up
asked
this.
Chris, and I got the text.
76.
Taylor, I'll tell you a couple of. Oh, sorry, we all talk. I can tell you a couple of interesting Anthony Daniels stories.
too late.
Yeah, you're right.
I'd rather hear more about
Uh,
Larry Zonka.
No, like in 2007, I was around Anthony Daniels at a convention in Knoxville, Tennessee, and no one was there because it's Knoxville. And I went and got autograph signed my 2007 stamps at the time. And he looks at me and he's like, "Well, no one's here." He's like, "Do you just want to sit and talk for a while?" I was like, "Sure," And we just had like a regular person conversation. And finally he goes, "Well, he goes, is there anything you want to know Star Wars wise?" And I said, "Well, tell me."
You were the only one there.
Yeah, like because I got there early thinking like it would be super packed, and it wasn't. Like no one was there, and it was him and Billy D and David Prowse and Jimmy Bullock, and it was like
Carl Weathers.
Yeah, Carl Weathers. Yeah, but it was a lot of people that were just there hanging out. Peter Mayhew, but I was talking to Anthony Daniels, and I said, "Well, tell me a story that you don't normally." I know Matt's heard the story, but that you don't normally tell people. And he said, "Well," he goes, "Do you know the oil bath scene, in A New Hope?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well,
That's
George."
not oil.
Yeah, George goes, he goes, "At this time, George was really adamant about having everything be as realistic as possible." And he goes, "And so it actually is oil. It's dyed green vegetable oil." And he goes, "If you watch that scene," he goes, when Mark Hamill's over there playing with his little, toy ship and I'm being elevated out of the oil. He goes, "If you've never had oil on your nether regions, it's not very fun." And he goes, if you look at that scene and look past Mark Hamill to look at me, he goes, "You'll notice there's a rag around my crotch region and I'm just rubbing very heavily to suck up the oil. And if you watch it, it's dead. It's so true. He's over like rubbing his crotch in the scene."
Huh.
I just always thought that was funny.
That brings a whole new light to the
I
oil
didn't even know
bath.
he was actually in the oil. I thought it was,
The more you know.
I thought it was just a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems so unnecessary. George.
Yeah.
Like,
I want it real.
it's the background of the scene. It doesn't have to be oil. It could be a nice.
But Carrie Fisher,
green
you do not have to wear underwear, okay? Because in space there's no underwear, so
Right.
don't
a
wear
tagline
underwear
alien.
under this white dress. So hopefully you don't have an oil bath either.
Oh,
Anyway,
No, like Matt and I, and of course, as Ralph is what you know as well. You know, we're all diehard Star Wars guys. No, Matt, Jack, not so much.
Looking
He
forward-
just ignores us. You know,
I'm
Looking forward to
your
Ahsoka.
coverage next week
Ahsoka.
on
Yeah,
Owen and
Ahsoka.
Brew's barbecue. I'm sure
we haven't
you guys will
podcasted in
have
a long time. Yeah, but we will. Yeah,
long time.
Yeah, we're planning on it. Yeah, we're planning on
Yeah.
discussing it.
that's
Ralph,
something
if you
I
want to
think
come
that
on,
all of us really
you're
want
more-
to.
Yeah, you got too
discuss.
much stuff going on. It's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I'll reach out to you. So, Jack's over here like, but what about me? I don't even know what Ahsoka is. Is that like
no.
a
Trust me,
karaoke thing?
trust me, I'm good.
Is that
Okay,
origami?
you guys can go on without me. I
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well,
well, this was great.
Yeah.
yeah, and again, everybody should go check out Getting Lost Doc. Like seriously, if you love Lost, make this happen. Help make this happen. Go to Indiegogo or just Google Getting Lost Doc. So you will find it. So spread the word, share it on your Instagram, on your TikTok. And Taylor is showing off one of the treasures here, one of the levels that you can donate at, right? And you can get the Virgin Mary statue.
Is that the one MC was coveting?
This is the one. We only have one right now, but we were able to make more because we had one from the show scanned so that we can 3D print and hand paint more. It takes forever. That's why they're so expensive. But
I thought it was.
but yeah, this one we've been using, you know, and some of the actors from the show have been like, "Oh wow, it's just like the real thing."
Nice. That's a high compliment, high praise
Yeah.
from one of the actors to actually like hold it. And
It's a lot lighter because it's not. I think they're
Plaster.
ceramic
Filled
plaster.
with
Yeah.
drugs.
I got one
The
last
trucks, yeah.
one last stupid question. How many of the actors were actual fans of the show that you've interviewed?
About
I think they're all
half.
pretty into it.
No, one of them had never
Yeah.
seen an episode.
Wow.
wow.
One of them really didn't like the ending.
Huh.
Let's see what else.
One of them didn't like the finale of season 5.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm yeah, that's
As soon
that's
as
curious.
the island disappeared, this person was out.
Wow.
Can't do
Interesting.
yeah. And to find out who, you got to watch our documentary.
Okay,
Of
that's
course, of
that's
course.
that's a great teaser because season 5 is one of my favorite seasons. So
It's my
Oh,
favorite season.
it's my favorite season.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the time travel, the Star Wars references, like living in Dharmaville, like it's got a lot. So
I liked it, but there's some parts I didn't like. Where I think
Juliet
Rose
and
Bernard-
Sawyer.
yes,
LaFleur.
for
I think
sure.
Rose and Bernard could have worked for Dharma. That's all I'm going to say. about that.
Well, they do now.
Holding on to that shit forever.
I know.
That's all I asked.
It's
One
the
little
Abbey
thing.
Road season. Well, I don't. It's not my job to close out the show because I'm not the producer. But
Alright,
it's
sure,
been really
sure.
great having
No,
you
you
guys
do. You
on.
do it, Ralph. You close out the show for us.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you next week. I'm sure Chris will be here for that. And then don't forget to listen to us on Owen and Brew Barbecue for Ahsoka. We're going to do every single episode on
for sure.
time, every once a week.
If Chris shows up.
And I'm just getting an update. Mike Adamley is still alive,
Nice.
There you go.
76.
and he doesn't do
No,
anything.
that's Larry Zonka.
I don't know any of
They're
these
both
names.
alive.
Oh, okay.
See, some people know them as former football players in the NFL. I know them as the hosts of American Gladiators.
Larry
Joe
Zonka
Theismann,
played on.
Miami Dolphins.
Todd Christensen.
You know who also plays on the show?
Todd
All of
Christian.
the patrons
Todd
that
Christian.
make this
He
possible.
passed away.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
Christian.
much to the patrons that make this show possible.
Yes, you can thank the patrons.
As well as all the listeners that joined us live. We have a lot of people live in the chat. Thank you so much, Matt K, John the retired guy, Ro, Nice seeing you in the chat as well. The other
About time.
Matt Treast. So, and Lost the Others,
Yeah.
who is very active, and Jeremy, I think, who is also from Canada.
He was.
So
No Sherry today.
No Sherry today.
I
Or Will Fry.
didn't see Sherry in the chat here, but also Randy, who's probably asleep right now.
You got
thank
the
you all for
Everyday
joining us,
Adventures, who's a real piece of work.
Yeah.
I
Thanks,
hate that
guys.
guy.
So full of himself. Get over it. You just make.
But we'd like to thank Eckhart Rickner Glaffelder, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and Ed the creepy poopy letter carrier. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for everybody who puts up with us. And that's all we got.
That's it. Great show.
That's it. Great show, kids.
It still
1
says
million.
live.
I know.
I haven't ended it
audio
yet.
feed.
By the
So,
way, I
see
love
you next
Taylor's reaction to poopy letter.
I know, he kind of like,
what?
That's interesting.
What kind of patrons do you got?
I have
we
no
look-
idea what's going on here.
We love our listeners. That's hasta luego and goodbye.